Come on in. Welcome to Hearts and Crafts. I'm Anna. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. If you visited this channel before, thank you for returning. It's good to see you again. Today we're going to be making a shoe mat. It's going to be a spot for you to place your shoes when you come in the door. Okay, so if you like what you see, you like this channel, or you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting the subscribe button. Hit the bell right next to it so that you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get started. Here's a list of supplies that you will need to create your mat. You will need one doormat. This doormat measures 23.5 inches by 15.5 inches, and I got my doormat at the Dollar Tree. You're also going to need some paint. I'm using the Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster, but you can use any paint that you might have on hand. You're also going to need some paint sponges. You're also going to need a pair of scissors so that you can cut out your shoe pattern. I cut out my shoe pattern from a brown paper bag, but you can use any paper or cardboard that you might have on hand. So what I did is I traced my shoe onto the paper bag and then I cut it out. And you only need one. This is your right shoe, and then you're going to flip it over and it's your left shoe. The other thing you're going to need is some stencils. So I have that set of stencils. That is a Folk Art brand from Walmart, and those letters are 4 inches. So now that we have all our supplies lined up, it's time to get crafty. So as you can see, I've set up my mat with a partial phrase of what I'm going to be putting on my mat. I have made my patterns, my left shoe, and over here my right shoe. So those are already set up. I've already drawn them on the mat. I've set up the stencils where I'm going to be putting in my phrase. So as you can see, you just kind of dab the paint into the space where the stencil is, and you just fill in as you go, holding on to the stencil so that it doesn't move, and you get a nice clean letter there. And we'll go back and do another coat as we go. I have these letters kind of overlapping just a little bit so that the letters are a little bit closer together. It's a learning process. We all learn how to do things as we go along, and it's never a failure unless you don't try. So here we go, folks. Let's do this. These letters I'm using are, some of them are repetitive, so I only am using them one time because this pack comes with only a couple of letters in each pack. It does have all the alphabet, and some of them are repeated, but not all of them. I'm going to do this S again over here right now because I'm going to be moving it to the end. So I'm going to give it a second coat while it's still here. Alright, so let's move that. Oh, doesn't that look pretty? Okay, so let's move that over here to the end. And has anybody figured out what it's going to say on my mat here? Mine is going to say shoes go here, but you can have yours say whatever you like. It can say your shoes here. It could say place shoes here. I guess it just depends on how big your mat is. And I had to kind of squeeze this in here, so but it looks like it's going to come out pretty good, folks. Kind of excited about it. I'm going to give this S another little bit more paint. Okay. I'll go over the H again, put it in the right spot here, and I will say that if this is your first time using any stencils and you're doing it on a doormat like this, it's probably the best way to learn because you get better coverage. You don't have to worry too much about any paint leaking under your stencil because it stays pretty much on the mat. But if you do have any little mishaps, a little bit of paint drips or something like that, just use a wet rag and just wipe it off as soon as you notice that it's there, and it'll come right off. Okay, here's what we have so far. All the painting is done, and I did forget to mention at the beginning of the video that we will be putting some trim on this. These are the items you need for your trim: one Dollar Tree mop, a pair of scissors, your glue gun, some glue sticks, and fair warning, you may want to use finger protectors. You're going to take your mop out of the sleeve and then remove it from the base cap by pulling the yarn straight out of the base cap. When you do that, you're going to be left with several long strips of yarn that look like this. This is what we're going to be using as our trim and our tassels. Okay, so for our tassel, we're going to be using one of the long strips of yarn. We're going to be using the cardboard to wrap the yarn around to make our tassel. We're going to wrap the yarn 5 times, and then we're going to cut off the tail. Okay, we're going to use the piece that we cut off to tie around the top. Going to slip that underneath, and then we're going to tie it at the top. We're going to tie a knot to make sure it's secure and that it doesn't unravel. Once we tie the top, then we're going to take it out of the cardboard and we're going to trim the bottom. So just get your scissor and then just cut off the bottom there. And then you have your tassel with the 2 tight ends on the top. And we're going to put a little base on this. We're going to use one of our other pieces. We're going to tie it around by wrapping it twice and then tying it in the knot in the back. And then this we are also going to secure with another knot. And then we're going to cut off those pieces. Okay, and so now you have your tassel. We can probably cut these off a little bit shorter. Okay, and so now you have your tassel, and then we're going to cut off all the bottoms right where the knots are, above the knot, so that the bottoms will fluff out a little bit, and they should all be about even. And if not, we'll go back and we'll trim whatever needs to be trimmed. Okay, so it looks like we may have gotten them all, and then we'll just go through and then we'll trim. Okay, so there we have our tassel. So we're making 4 of these, and now we're ready to glue our trim on. We will be going around twice with the trim. The first one will be on the top of the mat, and then the second one will go right behind it around the edges. We will not be gluing down the corners because we're going to be tying down the tassels on each corner, so we don't want to glue those corners down. Okay, so let's get started. And I also noticed that this yarn kind of twists in the gray and the white and the gray and the white, and it looks really pretty that way. But you know, the preference is yours. If you want to try to get them all to be gray on one side and then white on the other row, then you know, that's your preference. I kind of like that it twists into the different colors. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. So I got the first row down. Need to keep going with this trim. So the trim is going to lay on the outside of it. I am going to glue around that. So we are down at the end here. Going to be putting in the last strip. I don't know if you can see the last strip here on the side. And I'm putting the glue onto the yarn and then putting the other layer right behind it so that it'll stick to it and make it a little double layer on the outside. So it's looking really good. Okay, so we are going to put the tassels in, and we're going to be putting them in at the corners where we left them lifted a little bit. Just going to slide the yarn through the one side, and then we're just going to tie it in. And I left this one a little bit too short, so I'm not going to be able to do a double knot, but we're going to glue that in there and then it'll stay just fine. So I'm going to put some glue. I'm going to put some glue on the inside here and glue it down so that it will stay, and it should be just fine on that side. And then we're going to also glue on the inside for the other one. Okay, and then that will stay in. That's because I did it a little bit too short. And ooh, that's hot. So we're going to go ahead and do all 4 of our tassels the same way. We're going to lift the lip up a little bit there and then slide the yarn through and then tie it down. Tie it down with the double knot. This one was just the perfect size. And then we can cut off those edges. Okay, there's that one. And then we have the other 2. Let's get that through there. All right, so we will tie that down. Double knot that. And then cut off those edges. Okay, and then we got the last one here. So the same thing, we're going to go through and we're going to tie it down. Double knot that. And then we will cut off those ends. Careful not to cut at the knot. So I see that there's a little bit of, it's up a little bit here, so I'm going to glue that down. We don't want it to be lifting up. There. Okay, so we got our shoes go here. Got the finished product, we got the tassels. And I'll show you how it's going to look where it's going, okay? Here it is next to the front door. I think it came out really cute. The tassels add that finishing touch. Let me know what you think. If you like it, give it a big thumbs up. And tell me in the comments below if your household is a no shoes household and where you put your shoes when you come in the door. Thank you for visiting. See you in my next video. Bye!